watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back to Capitol View. I'm David Goins. It's political long table time. Let's bring in our guests this morning, Jessica DeLoach and Bill Vickery.
Good morning.
The crew that needs no introduction.
I don't know about that.
Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks.
Okay, let's start with what's going on up in North Arkansas. Full disclosure, we were looking to get the crew from North Arkansas, Scott Flippo and John Burris, here, but it couldn't work out logistically, so we understand it's a busy campain. Bill, I'll start with you. What's your thought?
Look, I got to tell you, it's a Donnybrook of a runoff up there. What disturbs me, and I think well, let me back up. A lot of people look at this primary runoff for the state Senate seat as sort of the definitive moment of whether the state legislature's balance could tip more toward the favor of the Tea Party versus so-called establishment Republicans. I am troubled by the fact that there is a dark money group that's been playing in this race very heavily. John Burris has been the subject of a lot of attacks, a lot of them just patently false. And so as heated as the AG's runoff has been on the Republican side, this state Senate seat, the same has held true there. So it will be interesting to see what the outcome is, because I really do think you got maybe the power of the state Senate hangs in the balance.
Well, I mean, you're pretty tightly twined in with intertwined with GOP, stuff. No secret there. Well, I mean, what's the background behind why all this money's pouring in?
It's interesting. You see, I think John Burris' support as a member of the State House of Representatives for the private option angered a lot of people up there. Now you've got some kind of quasi-sinister group from Northwest Arkansas funneling a lot of money into a race in North Central Arkansas. And so it really is a definitive moment there. While the private option may have started it, now a whole laundry list of issues. And like in any good intense campaign, now it's gotten very personal. And so that's when, I'm not saying we're at a point where it's Ralph Forbes and Say McIntosh in 1990 fighting on television, but it's a pretty intense race up there, to say the least.
What's kind of your observations, Jessica, as this goes on?
Having the 12 legislators who decided to come out in support of Scott Flippo, who said, you know what, we're going to stand behind you, even though they've all worked with Representative Burris before. I think that that's a pretty bold move to make, because no matter how that race shakes out, you still have relationships that you have to deal with in life after Election Day passes. So it will be interesting to see what those dynamics will be like and how those relationships will be affected if should John Burris succeed in this race.
Is it unusual for sitting legislators to do that?
To some degree. Some of that's a byproduct of term limits, and so that you can see a legislator could come out in support of something. You had a faction in the House of Representatives that fought hard against the private option. I think they're carrying that fight. I don't think from an actual effect standpoint any kind of endorsement like that really plays any big role. Primary
it's
runoff.
Probably just internal politics, though, of the Senate, though.
It most definitely will. I think it most definitely will have a carryover effect into the state legislature. I think John Burris wins. I think this is about ground game versus an air war. Primary runoffs are about who shows up at the polls, getting your people to go out to vote again. Turnout's going to be anemic at a super light level. So I think he's put a campaign in place versus just sort of kind of this series of ads by a third-party group to sort of pound Representative Burris.
So Boone trumps Baxter as far as turnout, maybe?
I think a good turnout organization.
About counties, by the way.
Yes, and where the two candidates are from, and that makes up the state Senate district. But I think at the end of the day, a good turnout organization is what wins a primary runoff, and that's why I think we'll see Burris win.
I think in some of these Senate races, especially the ones everyone thought was contested by the private option, when you actually look at the turnout, it didn't really look like the private option really was the reason why.
It was more. I think it was more a factor of good campaigns.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw Terry Rice ran a good campaign outside of Fort Smith in Van Buren. He won. So I think that really is more of an issue than anything.
Okay. Well, we're rolling. We're doing good here. When we come back, more with our political long table, Jessica DeLoach and Bill Vickery. I'm David Goins. You are enjoying Capitol View on Sunday morning.